All right, what up, what up, what up? Welcome to Bleav in Rams, presented by FanDuel, Erin Coscarelli, joined by Ryan Anderson of LAFB. I have not gotten to talk to you except via text
Yeah.
after the game. And I feel like, you left me hanging. Really needed to talk to somebody. And also, your responsibility is to let me know if I have any lag or delay real time
I
because we've been
will.
having issues with my internet, people. It's really it's putting a wrench in my now postseason plans. But how's it going? So you went on a little trip, but you did get to catch the game. I was there in person.
I saw
And
that.
it was a really special season finale. We got to obviously hear from McVay and Stafford and kind of get the pulse of the team heading into what should be an interesting postseason, third straight season, right, for McVay now entering the postseason. What do you think of the game? You had an interesting opinion. You said it was. I'm going to go ahead and let you say it. What did you think of the game?
Well, I thought it was kind of uneventful with all the
Mhm.
injuries, very key injuries. It's hard to have any takeaways from it. Obviously, they locked in the 5 seed, so they will be taking on those pesky Panthers once again. But it seemed like it took the offense about 3 quarters to get going, which was didn't inspire a lot of confidence. But Devonte's
I
coming
know.
back. Um, Terrence Ferguson will be back.
Hmm.
I'm anxiously awaiting the news about Kevin Dotson as well. So key injuries, Jonathan Gannon was probably coaching for his job in that game, trying to do the best he could. They had a backup quarterback. So, there's just a lot of things that were, moving parts that just, didn't make for a terribly interesting football game for me. um you know not a lot of learning moments or takeaways from it. It was nice to see Tyler Higbee kind of getting back going, as so I don't know
Wow.
what were your kind of your main takeaways.
Wow. Always the contrarian, never the optimist, which is why I love you. And it's we got to have guys like you on the show. I don't know. Did you not catch McVay's post game presser? I think the fact that they were down 3, which they shouldn't have been.
Yep,
And
yep.
then didn't they score 21 unanswered points or 17 somehow, sometime in the third or something like that, right? So I mean, look, I think my biggest takeaway is why do the Rams keep having these slow starts? Is Devonte the real MVP? And I say that in jest. I'm joking, obviously. But it just goes to show what Devonte does for the offense. And I was talking about it yesterday with Nate Atkins of The Athletic, that in my opinion, and tell me I'm wrong, but Devonte just makes you respect the red zone offense more. He requires either double coverage or you got to double cover Puka or and then that element opens up the run game because it just seems like since we've been missing Devonte, um, the ability to score so soon we haven't seen and McVay talks about it, a sense of urgency.
Mm.
And man, had they not put that game away in the fourth, I think we'd all be kind of wondering if this team really has a shot beyond Carolina. And we'll get into Carolina in a moment. But that just seemed to be, if I'm going to be complete devil's advocate and look at this team, because you know how much I think this team is great and really can compete on all 3 phases. I just wanted to see, and I think if I'm going to be the eternal optimist that I am, if you remove Devonte, at least we're starting to see guys. It requires you to diversify. We've been able to see Kanata Mumfield, Xavier Smith step up. Obviously, even Terrence Ferguson, who was not active, he dealt with a hamstring injury, which everybody was kind of scratching their head when they saw that he wasn't active. Like, when did that happen? We were all at practice on Friday. I don't know. I mean, I think this team does very well with adversity. But I think a lot of people, I was fielding a ton of text messages like, what's going on with the Rams? Why are they like doing this to us? I'm like, just calm down over there, people.
Yeah, I think that's the sentiment that I came away from as well. I think it didn't look, very cohesive in the first 3 quarters, first half, really. Offensively, Stafford, we can go way back to the beginning of the season when we were all a little bit worried about the offense. And that was like pre Devonte as well. That was before they obviously was in there, but Stafford had not played a single snap with him. And it took a couple of weeks for them to kind of find their groove. And without him in there, it feels like a different offense. And you look at the depth chart for those wide receivers and it drops off. There is a clear big drop off. They bring Tutu Atwell back. He has a nice catch in this game, but he's not a non-existent factor in the offense. They went back to heavy 13 personnel in this game. And, you could feel it with Higbee in there. He became, kind of that classic option that he's always been. And Colby Parkinson, making his impact as well. So, I think they were facing an offense that looked a lot different than when when they were churning at their highest performance, most explosive version of themselves. And Devonte has so much to do with that. Konate is great. He's going to turn into something. Jordan Whittington went out early in this game with a some sort of leg injury, wasn't it? Knee injury? I can't recall.
Yeah, it was like a right ankle or knee. No, it was the right knee, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went out and then yep, sorry, keep going.
And I can't think we can understate Kevin Dotson's role in the offense. Without him on the field, the running game has taken a big step back. And that, I was saying without Devonte on the field, the running game is the backbone of the offense. And they run a lot to the right and a lot more successfully to the right, to his side of the field. And I think he's kind of the linchpin for the offensive line. McClendon hasn't played as well. Coleman Shelton hasn't played as well. And Dida just was he's a former Trojan as well. But former UDFA, I think he's for where he is in his career, I think he's doing a really great job, but he is not a starting right guard. He is not Kevin Dotson in there. And, injury bug just hit kind of at the wrong point, and McVay hasn't made it very clear about what the expectation for when he's coming back. So am I shocked that they didn't boat race this team from the jump? Yeah, sure. But they got it done at the end of the day. And speaking of adversity, this team didn't have to deal with very many injuries throughout the season, and then it kind of snuck up on them in the last few weeks. But they're getting Devonte back. They're getting Quentin Lake back. Yeah. Dotson doesn't seem like it's long term. So I think they're getting Terrence Ferguson back as well. So heading into the playoffs, I'm not worried whatsoever about 3, underwhelming quarters against a division rival, a guy who's coaching for his job, players coaching for their next contracts as well. So, with Jacoby Brissett's a backup quarterback for sure. So, defensively, that was the bigger question. I felt like was, I think some of those deficiencies in the back end and the secondary really showed up in this game. Michael Wilson having, obviously Akella Witherspoon with that big interception, but got burnt by Michael Wilson a couple of times on some big plays. So, I mean, those, I mean, hopping over to the defense, do you have any thoughts on?
Yeah, well, I think that was the biggest concern, which was to me, what's going on in a way with the defense. Why has the defense we've seen a lag? I mean, obviously, certainly the last 2 previous games, the run defense has been a little dicey. And you have to wonder what is going on. How much is Q Lake, who's I think been out since week 11? How much does he really impact the defense? I was over with Maria Sorreo, who we see at Rams practice. She's been covering the team for a while. And, I think one of the big impacts Lake had, not just on the run defense, but also on a young Emmanuel Forbes, who just seems to kind of have some moments of blown coverages, and then make these big chunk plays. And I don't know if it's, and Coach McVay said it as much last night about how important momentum is. And, fortunately, it went their ways. It went their way. But I think if you combine costly turnovers by the offense, and then you allow opposing offenses to kind of gas your defense with sort of a questionable run defense, I feel like that combination has been what's caused the Rams to have 2 losses in 3 games, 2 losses in prime time and back to back. And if you're a young team and you don't have your Higbees, your Lakes, your veterans, your captains to sort of kind of reset you, your Devontes, like, I think that to me is the bigger. I don't question the talent. I don't question the coaching staff. I think that when they get into these sort of, when they show up flat, or they get into sometimes moments of adversity, real time, the lack of short-term memory is with those young guys. I think it's apparent, and that to me has always been the thing that I've noticed the most. And if you take Lake out, it just seems like it has had a bigger impact, not just on the secondary, but on how this team, especially the defense, holds up their end of the bargain when times are tough. I mean, it's interesting because I even interviewed Q Lake, and he said, they did a good job. They got us into the postseason, but I can't help but wonder, how would that Seattle game have gone if he was in?
Yeah.
How would that have gone? What would have happened? I mean, he really is such a important cog in the recipe for how that team does, and being on the road. So, I mean, good news to get him back. They're going to go on the road and play Carolina again. It's a rematch, but here's my 2 cents on it. This is no longer going to be a trap game. They're not expecting Bryce Young to just kind of roll over. Like, they're coming out and they're showing up. And, I mean, you heard me say after that Carolina game, I thought that they were a really good team.
Yeah.
But now I feel like they're ready to face what they were up against when they weren't back in, what week was it? Whatever week in November. 13, 14. It doesn't matter. It's all a blur.
Yeah.
But
Really
that's how I'm perceiving this game, if I'm gonna just be honest.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one. I mean, I think they're a young and up and coming team with a really good head coach and Dave Canales. And he called a phenomenal game. Will they get 3 turnovers out of the Rams again? That was kind of the big turning point, but they had a great offensive game plan as well, where they ran the ball 30 or 40 times and only threw the ball 20 times, forcing the run defense to step up. And, Quentin Lake, if you want, talking about Quentin Lake, newly re-signed Quentin Lake, that was a big topic. That was a big, interesting,
Oh yeah.
wrinkle in what their plans were. So they're bringing him back. His communication and leadership, you can feel that lacking when he hasn't been out there. So hopefully he'll be able to play in this game, to affect just simply that, because you look around the rest of the roster, who are the true leaders on the team. Kobe Turner I'd probably throw in there, super smart guy. But he's on the defensive line. He's not the one, communicating to the back, to the rest of it. Is Nate Landman already stepping up into that? Probably, but, that's kind of his primary role and responsibility, I feel like. And that, that can manifest in a lot of different places on the defense, but also he's just a bigger body. You bring up Emmanuel Forbes. In that Panthers game, there was 2 times that he just got leveled by one of their running backs, just because he's 160 pounds soaking wet. And you brought up a great point that he's also I don't want to call him gangly, but that's the word that comes to mind. He's tall and skinny.
I said he's not low to gravity. Don't put words in my mouth, guys. I did not say gangly. That is a
That's me.
Ryan Anderson. I said he just doesn't have. I agree with you. He doesn't. No, I don't agree. But I mean, yes, he's not low to gravity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Hard to get down and tackle a guy that's 5'8", outweighs him by 50 pounds. So anyway, yeah, I think getting Quentin Lake back is huge, especially for the playoff run. All that leadership, all that football IQ, and just IQ across the board, and leadership ability. I think, yeah, it can't be overstated, really. His importance. So yeah, I think it's gonna improve a lot for the defense. Just to have a leader back out there, and a communicator. I mean, I've said it like 8 times now. So
yeah. No, keep saying it. I think it's interesting when you were saying who you think the offensive leaders were, and you didn't mention Byron Young, who's a Pro Bowler.
He's not a super vocal guy. Verse on the other side is super vocal, but I think he's a bit more of a trash talker than a true, team leader, which, I think that's a part of the game as well. His in his own words, his welcome to the NFL moment was him trash talking his own team, and McVay just kind of shutting that down, saying, we don't do that here, and trying to rein him in that kind of way. So, I mean,
and
throwing up a peace sign to the Seattle Seahawks bench, that's pretty cool. I did that.
Well, and this is an emotional game. We even saw an emotional moment from Puka last night, and you have to.
I must have missed that. What was it?
It was it was when they overturned, wasn't it when they overturned his touchdown?
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was just something that was discussed. We talked about. It just seemed like there's just maybe carryover or frustration. The game is so emotional, and these guys are young. They're 24, they're 25. Can you imagine? I can't even probably deal with that now, and I'm 41, guys. Okay, like I'd go cry in the blue tent. Don't look at me, I'm crying. No, but I think that's the hugest, probably the most important part of this game that you definitely get from a Stafford, who's just sort of cool, calm, collected. And I did want to switch gears and talk about him briefly because, he finishes the game 4 touchdowns, 0 INTs. I think that's kind of what he might have needed to at least continue to keep him in the running, because a lot of chatter about, just Drake May being or at least taking the top position, because he didn't have those 2 games that obviously Stafford had against Atlanta and then the Seahawks before that. Did Matthew do enough, in your opinion, to kind of secure the MVP?
I think he lost it last week. I mean, it's a narrative award. There's a lot of East Coast voters. Drake May is a fantastic story. You can't get around it. 2nd-year player, the turnaround that team has seen so quickly. So I think, I don't know what the betting odds are currently, but Drake May just putting it on the Jets, and then contrasting that to the Rams is really laying an egg. And so, I think these voters probably wanted to see Stafford go ham on the Cardinals like they should. And going back to the defense, they had 6 sacks and 2 turnovers that kept them in the game. Really, that early turnover, it turned into a field goal, but not to belabor that point, but Stafford for 3 quarters didn't look, I mean, he had some drops. There should have, there's a couple of passes that guys should have hauled in. They didn't do him enough favors in that. But putting up, if he had put up 37 points in the first 3 quarters, he might have got himself back into the conversation. But is he my MVP? If I had a vote, I vote in the Pro Footballs of America Writers Association. I vote in that. I'm going to vote for him certainly there. But I think that in the AP, voting, or whoever the voters are for the MVP award, I think that Falcons game is speaks too loudly, and I don't think he did enough in this game to kind of grab the attention back.
Yeah. I mean, certainly in the beginning part of that Arizona game, you kind of were like, all right, you got to get this going, buddy. Like, turn the wheels now. Because I think, he missed 3. I mean, and it's not just Stafford. He's obviously not the one dropping the passes.
Yeah.
But I think there's a couple of arguments that are made that, go against Stafford, which is when you have a supporting cast like Puka and Devonte, does that ding you? And then does that make you less valuable in your, if you were to switch places?
Well, I mean, I would much rather, if I were the quarterback, have Puka Nacua, Devonte Adams, and 3 tight ends that can catch the ball, rather than Kayshon Boutte.
What?
Kayshon Boutte and
get out of here
Hunter
with
Henry
that nonsense. Get out of here. But then the argument against Drake May is that they get to face the Jets twice a year. They have not much, but a less challenging division that they play in the AFC East. Aren't those things, I think that it's very interesting because it's like, they're just different. They're just, one's a pure pocket passer, one's a mobile guy, one's younger, one's older, one's got better, one's got talent around them, but a tougher scale, so it's like,
yeah. No,
how are we doing this?
All valid points, and I'm in agreement with it. I think that Stafford has had the best year of his career. I think he's taking care of the ball in a way that we've never seen from him. I've loved everything that he's done, but I have to put on an analyst hat at some point and go, you look at the reality of who's voting and, sort of the biases, toward like New England. There's a lot of New England fans, a lot of Seattle fans as well in the media.
I know, but even the New England, bronze statue of Tom Brady said Stafford. So I'm just being the devil's advocate.
No, it's hard because I'm torn, because I'd love to just give a full throated like this. It's gonna happen. And what I'm saying is I would vote for him. I would definitely vote for him. I think he's had a very, very impressive. And do I mind giving a guy a lifetime achievement award? No, I don't. I don't think that's wrong at all. He's had a long storied career, and should he have an MVP, up on his shelf? Absolutely. I think so. I think he's won the Super Bowl and leading, a Super Bowl favorite right now at the ripe old age of 37. I think it's impressive. So, I wish I could say that I think he was going to win it, but what do you think? Do you think that it will fall his way?
I mean, listen, what I'm hearing out of you is you're saying there's a lot of New England fans, so there's a bias there, potentially, or East Coast fans. But if you're going to say bias, then we also have to take into consideration the bias of Stafford and the story he's had this year. He is a better story for the NFL. Drake May has a future. He'll be fine. He'll get an MVP eventually. But this is kind of a lifetime achievement. The guy wasn't even available during training camp. We've talked that story to death, but it got brought up last night. And now he leads the NFL in passing yards, touchdowns. And he said it as much last night. He said, I'm just happy I made it to week 1. And it's, and so when you take all of that into account, that he is 37, he's taking hits differently than however old what is Drake May, 25,
He's a
26?
child.
He's a baby. Then I get to be biased. And the reason why I feel biased is not because Stafford's dad of 4 daughters and he's, America's dad, but it's because I think we all want to aspire to have to have the dreams of Matthew Stafford. I'm just like, I think that story is a better story. Forget the stats alone, which indicate he's number one. If we're just talking, he's being dinged as for a winning, win-loss record or not winning the division. I think Peyton Manning won. I want to say 2008, and when he was with the Colts and they didn't win the division, So, I mean, a lot can be said. You can twist it in any way you want, but I'm always going to kind of root for the story that feels like you've overcome a little bit more in a way, which can be truly attributed to both guys. But
yeah, well, and
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Second acts are a beautiful thing, and
comebacks.
Comeback, yeah, and
everybody likes a comeback. It's not how you start, how you finish.
I think you've laid out a fantastic case, and I think if you guys like Erin's case, share this, put it up everywhere, aggregate it, cut it out, clip it,
right.
and spread it around.
Tag us,
yeah,
subscribe, rate us, review us. Absolutely. No, and I think it's why more and more people just continue to love football and the story and the way it's told. And this Rams organization has just been such an interesting team for us to cover because they've had so many unique underdog stories and kind of needing to patch and paste, and yet they run a tight ship. They run a tight organization. They've got McVay there. But there's just been so many crazy stories that have happened this season alone. McVay has a kid and he's barely able to show up to the Cardinals game because he's like got food poisoning or something. And then, it just seems like each and every week there's something crazy happening with the Rams this season.
Well, go back a couple years ago to 2022. Everybody was throwing dirt on this team. Look at what you do when you get rid of draft picks. Look what happens when rubber meets the road, and they rebuilt. How many players on this team today were a part of that 2021 Super Bowl? Stafford, Havenstein. I think that might be it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Troy Reader, but
if you look at the FanDuel Sportsbook has Stafford as the number one now, minus 180. And then you've got Drake May, then you've got Trevor Lawrence, Bo Nix,
wow,
then Justin Herbert. So it's definitely going to be one of those two guys, but which guy is it? Why don't you guys let us know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Bo Nix over Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is the most valuable player on his team.
Yeah.
I mean, he's muscled that team into a playoff team.
Did it bother you at all about that whole post-game interview when he was just not really super chatty? How'd you perceive that as a member of the media?
I think he is handling this year probably better than any other player in his position would probably be handling this. I think he's really, really frustrated because he's got a lot of good stuff around him. It's just that offensive line might be worse than the 2022 Rams offensive line in terms of the amount of injuries and the amount of different combinations that they've been forced to play with because of that. So, yeah, I mean, have I had bad days at work and somebody, wants to joke around with me and I give them a cold shoulder? Yeah. So,
that's happened before, huh?
Oh yeah.
I feel like
I'm an emotional man.
You get off my lawn right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's a healthy amount of get off my lawn in Ryan Anderson, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get annoyed secretly when someone like pulls into your driveway and like does a U-turn?
That doesn't bother me. No.
No?
But I
Yeah.
put up a sign because over the last couple of weeks, I've had to call parking enforcement because my
Oh.
driveway has been blocked and I can't. I have
Oh.
a lifted F-150. I can't get out of my parking. I can't get out of my driveway unless, anyway. So I put up a please
Wow.
don't block the driveway sign.
Ooh, that seems like that would annoy anyone though. My in my mom's neighborhood, there's a car that they just leave parked there. And it's like maybe 15 yards from my mom's house. And they just park it there. And there is just this, there's a lot about that situation that I'm like, can you just like move your car? Why are you just parking your car right down the street and you don't live in the neighborhood, they're just putting it there. I'm not sure. So I can get off my lawn pretty hardcore too. Just depends on the circumstance. Don't park in my street. All right. Okay, so this was fun. Thank you so much for making the time. Wow, we went a little bit long, but we really needed to talk about this. I felt like we really needed to catch up. It's been a long time, and
I
the
hate
Rams.
when I miss time. I
Oh,
can't even
it's
really
really
enjoy my
rude.
vacation because I'm like Quentin Lake just got re-signed and I can't. I'm like I was snowshoeing
Yeah.
when that happened.
Oh my God, that's
I
amazing.
love
All right, wait.
snowshoeing, by the way. It's fantastic.
What, you went snowshoeing? You seriously buried the lead. Wait, where did you go and who goes snowshoeing and how do you do that? Is it like a massive challenging stair stepper?
Basically, yeah. I'm uniquely built for it. I'm a runner and I'm also of Swedish descent, so I think there's something
Oh,
just
that makes sense.
evolutionarily built in. But I went to Sun Valley, Idaho, which is a ski resort town. I'm not much of a skier, so I do the other winter activities. And also, my dog bit my hand, and it was
Oh,
infected, so that's the puncture wound. So I'm on antibiotics as well. So
oh
I wanted to go cross country skiing, but I couldn't really grip the pole. You can see where the ER doctor marked my skin
no.
for, like, that's where it was red and like puffy, like it had swelled. So I'm on Augmentin. If anybody gets bit by a dog, just go to the ER and get it just prophylactically. That's what they told me. I waited a day and a
Oh.
half.
And what happened? This is your own dog. What did you do to piss him off?
Well, we were going to go on a hike and I scooped her up and I tried to put her in the
Oh.
car and I caught her off guard. I wasn't careful enough. She's a biter in general.
Nice.
Yeah.
What kind of dog is this?
A mean rescue terrier. She's actually really sweet most of the time, but if you surprise her, catch her off guard, she will nip and bite. But she really got a hold of me that time. She was stressed out.
She probably didn't want to go to the freaking snow. She's like, keep me in Cali. What are you doing?
That is a great point, and I'm glad to be back to
pissed at you.
I'm glad to be back to 60 degrees and no snow or ice. So
How dare
Rams
you.
football, thank God. I'm so glad to be back on the beat.
Yeah.
But it was a 90th birthday celebration, so I had to be there.
Oh, you can't miss those. No, you cannot miss those. Well, that is very nice of you. I'm glad you did that. You got that in, and I'm sure whoever's 90th appreciated you making that trek. And you got a little snow, you got a little snowshoeing in there. That's right. That's what it's called, snowshoeing.
Yep.
I'm glad you're okay. Good to know about the dog bite. I have a 5-pound, sort of emotionally unstable Chihuahua. Doesn't like people. He's got intimacy issues. I don't know where he gets it from, but I have no idea, Milo. God. Anyways, he's the cutest. I'm very lucky to have him. But all right, well, listen, Rams are favored 10.5 on FanDuel Sportsbook. Is that right? That's pretty...
That's substantial.
Substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah. Substantial. Well, anyways, I was going to read where the Rams go next, but it's so long and convoluted and confusing. I feel like we've overstayed our 34-minute welcome anyways. So, we should just do it again. We'll do another we'll do an LAFB collab. Go
Reload.
find Ryan Anderson on Twitter, on X, whatever it's called. He's such a great follow. And that is a wrap for us here. Bleav in Rams, presented by FanDuel. I'm Erin Coscarelli. Thanks, guys.